experience, Bobby's literally calling me right now.
What is
What is-
what are the
No,
answer?
So you're practicing right now?
I wasn't trying to scare you with all the workouts, but like it was hilarious talking through all that.
What people don't see, it's how you're putting the pieces together. Because I think this is awesome, where we get a chance to do what no one has done before, is to literally get inside the mind of the great Sid.
Welcome to the G.O.A.T series, powered by NESTRE, with your hosts, Dr. Tommy Shavers and me, Chloe DeLuca. Join our conversation as we explore what's under the hood of some of the best athletes, high performers, CEOs, and top leaders in their industries. Today, we're sitting down with one of my dear friends and former teammates, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. Sydney is a wife, a friend, a soon-to-be mom, a four-time Olympic gold medalist, 400-meter hurdle world record holder, 400-meter American record holder, and one of the most dominant track and field athletes of all time. Please join me in welcoming our wonderful guest, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. The information being presented is not meant to replace the advice from a licensed medical doctor and should not be used to treat or diagnose any medical conditions. This podcast makes no medical claims. All health-related tips are for teaching and informational purposes only. Hello, Sydney.
Hi, Chloe.
I'm so happy that you're on our podcast this morning.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're really excited because this podcast that we do, we kind of knew what it was going to turn into, but now that we're in it, it's like we get to share the science about and around NESTRE, which is Tommy's company.
This is outstanding. So I'm super stoked. I mean, we talk about, how do you help people make sense of, you know, the human aspect of who they are, and
Hmm.
being able to pop the hood and do a deep dive into what makes you great, and to look at life, accomplishments, performance from a unique lens of what's your recipe, what makes you that, and in doing that, giving you a blueprint to be the best version of you. So having those kind of conversations, is awesome. We like to give people insights to go, oh man, that makes so much sense. And so so starting this this GOAT series, as we've been calling.
You're on the GOAT series.
And so, I mean, you made the list. It was tough. It was
Oh
tough.
my
It was tough.
goodness.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
tough. I mean,
Yeah.
but the cool part is we want to talk about it. We get to pop the hood on some of the greatest humans and performers in the world, but to allow it to resonate to the everyday individual. Because what we're really saying is the goal is, how do you find your GOAT? Like, every individual has their own GOAT within them.
Yep.
That should be the goal, right? How do you become the best version of you? So super excited about this.
Yep.
To spend some time. I can't wait to dive into your mindset profile. I'm just reading it and I'm like, this makes so much sense. This is, as we had, Megatron, Calvin Johnson on, and being able to pop the hood on his mind and brain and to see this is why he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to us doing the same thing. So excited to have you on.
I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to break this down, and you guys can give me more of the behind the scenes
Absolutely.
into why I'm the way I am.
Why you are the way that you are is hilarious. Why am I this way? Well, I wanted to share just like some sweet stories. A lot of people know who Sydney is. They know her as the track and field athlete. Some of you guys may know her as an author. And I got a really great opportunity to just be a friend and to experience Sydney off the track. And we were teammates with Bobby Kersey in Los Angeles. And
Shout out.
yes, shout out Bobby. But as I was like building out the podcast and the outline, I was just going over some of the things that like Sydney's done in my life, where I was just like, I want to share some of that because it's just different and it's special. And the first podcast episode, Sydney, you don't actually know this, but the first podcast episode that we did, the title is called Suffering is Never for Nothing. And when we were building out the podcast, me and Tommy, that was just the first topic we decided to do. We were just like, this makes the most sense. I feel like we can help people get hope around what suffering is breaking it down and helping people know that like you're not going to avoid suffering, but this is how you get through it. And the title came from a book that I got. Sydney recommended it to me. We were at practice one day, and one thing Sydney will do if she notices that something's off or that something's a little different about you, she'll be like, "Hey, are you good? Just wanted to, are you okay? You're just acting a little different today." And we kind of do that, I feel like, at our camp. Like at one point, we were kind of always just like, "Hey, are you all right?"
Yeah.
Like, and it was after one of the races I had. It was a really hard race and it just didn't go well. And I just feel like I was still learning myself in the camp with Bobby. And Sydney picked up on it and we like walked on the back track and she was like, "Hey, are you good?" And I was like, "No, I'm actually not okay." Like, I'm not good. And I don't know really what happened in between that, but I just remember you recommending this book, Suffering is Never for Nothing. And I ended up buying it and reading it, and it helped me so much understand and accept, because in one of the chapters it's about acceptance, and it helped me accept where I'm at, and it really changed the trajectory of like my mindset at the camp and just learning how to persevere through suffering, things that you don't want to experience but you're going through it. Like, how do you actually handle that in a way where you're moving forward, and not like regressing. That little moment of you like being aware and considering others and being like, "Hey, like, let me just check in and make sure she's good." Like, you've always been someone that isn't just about getting something done, but you're like, "Hey, let me check on this person and make sure she's okay." Other stories like that, like, girl, for The Voice, when I had my watch party, I had a watch party in Los Angeles with all my friends, and Sydney wasn't able to make it. But she was like, "I'll purchase all the food, for your watch party. Let me just help you out with that." And I was like, I was in a grocery store and I was like, "Hold on, that was so nice." Like, it goes so far. There's so many little stories I have, but just I wanted to speak to the heart of who Sydney is. I think that that's something that is refreshing on podcasts, and it's just nice to, share just like you're a wonderful person and been a great friend.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's always been so fun being friends with Chloe. Chloe is just first of all a joyful person, a very talented person in many different aspects. So being able to train with her and become friends with her and walk through that season of life, because like you said, all of us are going to go through different types of suffering, different seasons of suffering, and it's going to look differently. It's just so nice to know that you're not alone in that, and that other people can resonate and connect. So that Elizabeth Elliot book is priceless gold, because it's true. Like, our suffering has a purpose. It produces character. It produces perseverance. It produces patience. It produces dependence, not just on ourselves. So I'm glad it connected with you. And I also totally forgot about the watch party situation. So that was so funny to hear you say
I remember being like, "There's just no way." And she's like, "Yeah, just let me know what you want and I'll take care of it." And I was like, she wasn't there
that. I love
physically,
helping
but
with stuff. I love planning. I love all things planning. So, like, I was so happy to help in any way.
That fits with what this profile is telling us, and so I'm looking forward to to breaking it down. But first, you got to tell me how'd you get through an every day with the energy that Chloe brings? Like you got to give the secret because Chloe got some
wow.
extra energy. You know,
But I love it because I'm a bit more reserved. So, like, Chloe, I feel like, is my inner extrovert just in real life.
Because it's there.
Like,
Because it's there.
because she, like the things I'm thinking, but I'm like, I'm not gonna do or say
I'm
that.
gonna
Chloe will say it or do
yeah,
it. You know what I
100%.
mean? So, like, it's a good balance of I'll be like, all right, Chloe, it's time to calm down. But she also will be like, Sydney, like, I'm gonna need more out of you. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Well, I actually have a Sydney story. I got a Sid story.
Oh, do
I
you?
do. I have a Sid story. Sid,
Okay.
you remember, right? Sid's like, what is happening?
She's like, I'm gonna just listen.
So, so I was brought in to uh, speak at University of Kentucky to their athletes, and all of the group, all of the spoken women's athletes, men athletes. So all the women were in there. They were getting together, and so I was pulled to the side and getting ready to prep, and they were like, "Hey, look over there. You see the young lady sitting over there in the corner on the side?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." They was like, "That's Sydney." And I was like, "Oh really? Who's Sydney?" And they were like, "You don't know who Sydney is? She's going to be the world's greatest track athlete." And I was like, "Wow, what year is she?" She's like, "No, no, no. She just got here,
Yep.
but she won't be here for long. Like, you should go talk to her." And I'm like, okay." And so I go over, and I kid you not, like everybody's moving around and things, and Sid is sitting to the side, just nice and relaxed. And she's just looking out. I come over and I have this conversation. "Hey, how are you, Tom? Nice to meet you. Blah blah blah." And just asking her about her process. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, this seems like she knew I was going to come over and have a conversation. She was just ready for every question that I had. And the funny part was I picked up on the pattern because after every other question she'd ended with, "We'll just see what happens." And so I ended the conversation with, "Well, I guess we'll see what happens." And
Mhm.
fast forward, everything that, you know, they talked about, she talked about, and she wouldn't cheat the game or the sport at all. I was having these conversations and she was like, "I've done nothing. I look forward to the opportunity to
Yeah.
go do this."
Mhm.
And I'm looking at a freshman, and they're like, "Oh, she's not going to be here long." And literally the grace, the humility, the reserve,
Mhm.
calculated, every word was weighted.
Mhm.
And I walked away like, now I see why everybody's so impressed, you know. And it seemed like everybody was like terrified to come over and have a conversation. And I was like, oh, so I guess I'm looking forward to seeing how this pans out. And here we are, you know, you've far exceeded all of those expectations. But I just wanted to tell you, I remembered the freshman you, and it's not a surprise that I walked away beyond impressed. And so
Mhm.
Mhm.
um I remember that when I left, and I was like, oh, that's why they were saying keep an eye out for her. And as a freshman you were already locked in. I was like, there's no way she's as locked in as this. And no kink in the armor. It was just like
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And so I had to give you your flowers as a freshman that just got on campus,
I
because it
appreciate
was
that.
only a couple of weeks probably when we first had
Yeah.
this orientation. So, and it was, you were already incredible the first time I met you as a teenager.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah.
Funny, I want to know where the me sitting off to the side, reserved, not talking fits into all of this as well in the calculation
It
of my
absolutely,
that's
when I looked at your profile, I was like, makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
locked in. I'm looking forward to us
Yeah.
tackling that for sure.
And I just have a question. At what point, because you have always been very much like just the understanding of each question you're asked when it comes to an interview, when it comes to just like regular conversations, you have, like, girl, we have always crossed each other's paths, like New Balance Nationals, I remember, and just like college. Like, we always just were like around and near and in the same groups of people. But you have, since I remembered, you have always been very like with interviews. I'm not speaking about things off the interviews and things like that. But you have always knew how you wanted to answer things. There's always been an understanding of how you should show up when it comes to like interviews, press, being in front of people, like interviews after a race. It's only gotten more mature and more wise and more rounded based off your life experiences. But at what point do you think you like knew I need to show up a certain way when it comes to representing myself?
That's a good question. I would say probably in high school. Obviously, I wasn't getting interviewed before then. Thank goodness. That would be weird if there was interviews in middle school.
Right.
But I remember my first ever interview. Um, it was my freshman year of high school after like one of my first ever indoor meets, and obviously I was so nervous, but um, I always wanted to just make sure I was representing myself in a way that like younger Sydney or like a younger athlete could look up to and number one, like respect, want to follow, and carried themselves with like dignity and grace. And to me, growing up, that was always like Allison. That was who embodied that for me when I was growing up. So I can't speak to like, I've had people ask me, like, have you had media training? Like, how do you know how to answer these questions? I honestly don't know. I think it's just how my brain works
Oh, I
very
know.
quickly.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
In hearing the question, I can hear like keywords that make me pick up exactly how I want to answer.
Yep.
Um, so it's just like an automatic, you know, thing where I already am starting to formulate my answer as they're finishing the question. So,
He's so excited.
I just this is I get to geek out on this stuff. So this is the awesome part.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know. You're like,
yeah.
it's it's happening in real time.
Yeah, and one thing I can say about Tommy too is like because of his him creating the company just based off of his own personal cognitive, impairments and like how he, was moved to, put all this science together to make it make sense for the average human. It's always really impressive and mind-blowing how he can take information he's given like about a mindset profile or about the science he's understanding and then directly apply it to like an everyday experience. And I think that's what creates such connection for you with people is that you know how to speak to the person you're speaking to. And so I'm really excited because it'll make a lot of sense as well what he's sharing for the viewer, for you, for myself. But before we get into that, I have one more story I have to share because this was on my list of stories as well. Because it's just wonderful and it's so fun to just reminisce. So when I first found out I was going to move to Los Angeles and train with the team, um, I got a DM. I don't know. I don't know if I announced it or anything. I'm not sure what I did, but Sydney DM'd me on Instagram. I don't remember what the DM was. I just know that she DM'd me and was like, "Hey girl, so you're moving out to Los Angeles? Like, we need to get lunch." Like, I think maybe a few days after I found out I was going to Los Angeles to train, like Sid reached out and was just like, "We need to get lunch. Like, let me know when you're available. I'd love to get together." And I don't know what prompted you to do that. I just knew I remember being like, "Oh my gosh, that is so sweet and so comforting." Because I was excited to move to Los Angeles for my own personal, you know, excitement, the things that I was going to do out there. But having a teammate reach out and be like, "Let's get lunch." And we set up a time, we got lunch, we talked about all the things. We talked about the hardest practices you've ever done. And it was just such an LA experience. Bobby's literally calling me right now.
What is
What is
what are the
No,
answer it?
he
Answer it.
literally knows we're doing this right
Should
now.
I answer just for funsies?
I mean,
Let's
go
see
for
what
it.
happens. Hold on.
Let's see what happens. This is live, y'all.
Bobby.
Hey, just checking on you. How's marriage life?
Oh.
Bobby, married life is so wonderful. You'll never guess what I'm doing right now.
What you doing?
I'm doing the podcast that we do, and I have your athlete with us. Do you know which one?
No, I have no idea.
Uh, do you want to take a guess?
No.
No,
I knew he was gonna say no.
So,
It's Sydney.
Hi, Bobby.
hey, how you doing?
Good. We still got practice at 10:30.
Well, I'll let you guys go back to your podcast. I'm just checking on you.
He's just making sure you're gonna show up at practice. He's just calling the. He just.
I'll be there.
I was thinking about you, so I'll let you go.
Okay, I'll call you later.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, love you. Bye.
That is awesome. That's
He's
the
the best.
connection, huh? It's just
That is
Literally.
absolutely the connection because
Yeah.
that is wild. That's so funny.
He's hilarious.
He's hilarious. So you're practicing right now?
Yeah. You know him.
God, those 10:30, 11:30 a.m. practices I do not miss. I'm not gonna lie, sister, I do not.
Girl. Yes.
Anyways, I was just sharing how it was just wonderful to have that friend, that fun teammate who is, down to have those conversations and laugh. And it was just a great way to welcome myself into Los Angeles. And so I am very thankful as well for that, sister.
Oh,
those moments are special to me.
absolutely. That was so nice. And I think you said what prompted you to do that. I think it's interesting growing up as a young athlete because you only get to see the people you look up to from a distance, you know? And you don't get to see them like on that personal level. And you obviously, as you get older, start to figure out like, okay, if I was to be that next person, how would I want to represent myself? How would I want other people to take from how I carry myself? And like, I was like, if it was me moving to a different city, I would want someone to reach out to me and just be like, hey, like, I'd love to sit down. I'd love to know what the coach is like, what the training's like, what the environment's like. And so a lot of it really is, I didn't have someone to do that for me. So I wanted to do that for you. I wasn't trying to scare you with all the workouts, but like it was hilarious talking through all that.
Yeah.
um, but no, that was a very special time for sure.
Yeah. I don't, yeah. And the workouts that she talked about, I won't share them, but they were disgusting. They were gross. But it was just her workouts because her workouts are a little different.
I could,
They didn't apply to me, but Bobby does create renditions of the same workout. So it applied non-directly. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I associate.
Anyways, I'm glad we talked through that. I think Tommy's itching to discuss these.
I just think it's awesome. Even just hearing the conversation, I'm like, it just makes so much sense. I think, and Sid, you've kind of alluded to this, like people get to see you and admire you from afar. Um, but having this conversation creates a way to even appreciate you even more because, getting the chance to hear how you think, how you see the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think at at times people may go, man, well she's so maybe she's really conservative or button up because, you know, I don't want to make a mistake or put a front face on and really what I've come to appreciate even more is no, this is how you're wired. This is, this is who you are and it's what makes you amazing. And so, like when Chloe sent me your NESTRE mindset profile over, I was texting her with LOLs and I'm like, she's literally a walking slash running slash hurdling calculator. Like, like literally, I was like, no wonder she loves Uno. No wonder she juggles. It's like,
Yep.
no wonder she chose hurdles. Who chooses hurdles?
No one.
No one. But a well calculated individual who likes problem solving and planning at an elite level. Um, and so I'm looking through this. I'm going to highlight some of the pieces, and you tell me how it resonates, and even any questions you have, around look. What does this look like? Because I think this is awesome, where we get a chance to do what no one has done before, is to literally get inside the mind of the great Sid. Um,
Let's do it.
That's so my day's already made.
Oh
So
Lord.
um
Jesus.
so the first part I wanted to that stands out, the profile, starts on, and so we say mindset profile, we're not talking about personality, we're talking about cognitive preferences. How does your mind and brain prefer to experience the world? Right?
Mm.
And it starts off from the beginning, you know, welcomes the challenge of doing something new, but is built with the capacity to be routine oriented. And so, although new opportunities are important, still highly values stability and structure. Talk about this. I mean, this relationship between taking something new
Yeah.
and building this structural map around it. Like you were just mentioning it just then. I can see in real time you having interviews, and I can literally see you structuring
Hmm.
responses from data in real time. And people
Yeah.
go, "Oh, that had to be a very planned interview. She probably," and it's like, no, her brain is operating at an elite level, structuring
Real time
anchored
data.
things in real time,
Hmm.
and how that creates this ability for you to adapt, to make things within your control, for you to manipulate variables. Um, yeah, and that was just two sentences, but like, you know, does that resonate with you? And if there's a story example, share with it, because it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you said, it's that balance between having the stability and structure, but also exploring the new. And I think a great example of that is just this past season with the 400. Obviously, it was a new venture, a new opportunity. It's not like the 400 hurdles, so it is a new experience learning that event, learning how to run it, learning how to train for it. But I think the balance and the struggle for me throughout the season was finding the structure of it and the stability and putting together the pieces, which I think is something with me. If I can't start to find those puzzle pieces to put together, I'm not going to want to do it because I just am going to be like, I need to have some sort of building block plan. For example, I don't think I would like golf because I don't think I have the building blocks, at least not right now, to enjoy that game because I wouldn't be able to see the progress. So for like if I was to try golf for like a few weeks, a month, a couple months, and I didn't start to find those puzzle pieces, I probably would stop doing it.
It literally
Yeah.
says her profile literally says prefers not to act on limited information.
There you go.
And
That explains it perfectly.
and and so, like, you
That's
know
so funny,
when
Cindy.
when we see you performing, what people don't get a chance to, because you make it look easy, but that's the end result. What people don't see,
That's what's happening.
it's how you're putting the pieces together, and how
Hmm.
critical it is for you to put pieces together. And
Yeah.
so, which is why somebody goes, "Why didn't she already just attack the four? She could just go crush it." And you're like, "I'm
There's a
going to go to do
plan
the
that
four
mm-hmm.
when I have the data that I need to go do the four. And you won't
100.
rush me in doing the four, because I'm going to do it when I have the pieces to go crush it." Like,
Yeah.
I think that's something that's so insightful too, because to Tommy's point, people are always making assumptions based off of how you respond to things, what you post, what you say, how you carry yourself. There's always a comment that's going to be made, but how your mind and brain is wired, where it's like the reason why how I operate has been thought about. There's plan and intention behind each movement, each word I say. And a lot of that stems from the nature of who you are, where you're like, yes, like I care about how people are, you know, I care about how I carry myself in front of people. And that is something that you shared, you've always, valued. But then you put the mind and brain in front of it, and it's like the way your mind is wired is like, I thrive off of structure and information and how I can actually plan X, Y, Z to get to that full place that you're trying to get to. And so it's just like this beautiful recipe that people have such a mystery about you, Sydney. Like, I'm speaking from, like, being in the track community. I'm speaking from comments that are made, and then just people are so curious about you and why you do things the way that you do them. And you're actually very simple. Like, when
Yeah.
yeah, like, not simple in the sense of like you're simple, but like
Yeah.
it, it's not like you're trying to be anybody you're not. You are being who you are, and it's something that isn't understood unless
Yeah.
who you are. And so I think some of this is really exciting because it's like, no, guys, she's not like just out here being a robot or anything like that. Like, this is Sydney being Sydney. Like, I think it's just as he's
I mean,
saying.
but some of that is high computer processing that most people don't do. So
Correct.
there's some, there's some SID 3.0 robotics built into that. Like,
100%.
it's absolutely there.
100%.
Because the other part, it says once templates are built, will refer to established learnings and foundations in new situations. Like, when it's processed and that template is there and you put the pieces together,
It's done.
it's over.
It's
Now
done.
now it's like,
Yeah.
it, you know, whatever its situation and dynamic it is, I'm gonna go crush it.
And that's why I think interviews have become so comfortable, is because once you do a certain amount and you start to figure out, okay, why are they asking this question? What is the end goal of where they're trying to get to? Are they trying to figure out what my future plans are? Are they trying to start drama here? Like, it just, once you know the rhythm of it all, you know how to weave through and answer it very diplomatically, but honestly. Um, and it's like you said, it's that pre-calculated foundation of like, all right, there's only so many different directions this can go. And once I start to hear those buzzwords, it just becomes very easy to move on from there.
This is awesome. Like, literally, you've built this template of processing and then you apply it. Like, if someone they didn't know if you were talking about a, a track event or an interview. Cause like, you literally were, you know, once the rhythm is there, you know what I mean? You can
Yeah.
weave through the dynamics and like, she talking about track, she's talking about interview. Yes.
Yes.
It,
Correct.
it
Yeah.
yes, because of those templates,
Yeah.
and like, where do you see that show up else in your everyday life?
Yeah.
Because this isn't about sport.
No.
This is about
Life.
you.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
this has to show up in everyday life. Chloe's just joined the married club, and so welcome. We'll be, my wife and I will be celebrating 30. We did a podcast, yeah,
I
30,
know.
and we were
Awesome.
18 when we got married. So we were,
Wow.
and so when we did the last, I think they were like 30 days, and we were close to 30 years, and so it was like,
This
Mhm.
dope
you get the
dynamic.
bookends,
Yeah.
and so thinking about
Your life.
your life, being married, having a partner,
Joining
you know,
the almost new mom club.
all of the new things, the new situations,
Yeah.
um, just how does building those, templates
Mhm.
create this sense of confidence that you can go into
Yeah.
new situations and weave your way in a successful way through?
Mhm.
It's a good question. I think in everyday life, I'm also married to a very calculated, structured, orderly person, which I honestly, hearing this and like hearing how my brain functions, I think that's why I gravitated towards Andre. And it made sense because in the foundation and calculation, I saw someone who was ahead of me in terms of being able to um, have structure, have order, have all of those things in place. And so I actually thrive in that. I think I'm a lot more, what's the word? It's much more in my head sometimes than it is in my physical everyday life. So, like, I've become more cleanly and organized and
Mm.
structured on my daily tasks because of who I'm also in surrounding with, which actually my mind is already, like you said, wired that way. So it appreciates these new things that I'm experiencing. But for something like motherhood, which is a completely new category to me that I don't have a foundation for yet, it's it's daunting, but it's also exciting because now I get to figure out what those templates look like and, what that new rhythm and routine and structure will be moving forward. And then I'm sure once we get to the place where those building blocks start to click, I'm gonna be like, okay, we're good. So right now it's the phase of learning as much information and figuring out what that looks like so that I can have peace in my mind moving forward. So,
I think that's awesome because when you think about like individuals who are internally processing, acquiring information, the example I give to people is like you have your super high alphas and they're just like blazing the trail, they're just gone. The
yeah.
world is full of all green lights and I go, they're blazing a trail, but then you have these other individuals who are meticulously creating complex highway systems. And you think they're moving slow and they're not. They're creating an actual interstate system while somebody over here is just chopping down some trees. And so you don't learn to appreciate it until it's fully developed, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
so like even the way you just thought about and process motherhood, it's like, you know, a ton of young new moms would be like, "Oh, I wish I would have had that thought process,"
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know, on the front end. And
Hmm.
so talk about like how that type of processing at what point has it been a challenge for you that people misunderstood you or because it didn't show up fast, it was misinterpreted because it is a unique way of getting to greatness. And if to like you said, if you're in an environment that cultivates it, you're going to thrive in that. But often people who are deep, complex thinkers doesn't get the type of environment they need
Yeah.
to thrive in that. So speak to that a
Yeah.
little bit if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that can sometimes show up in just like personal relationships with other people. People who maybe aren't as deep thinkers, but are much more, like you said, alpha, just let's go for it. Let's be out there. Whatever happens, happens. And just like different personalities in that sense, because I am a bit more calculated, a bit more reserved. I am a deeper thinker, so I'm not always a verbal processor. I think in those personal relationships with people who are opposite, it can almost come across as if I'm not interested or outgoing or want to be friendly, but that's not the case. I'm honestly just assessing the situation. And I was actually talking with my husband about this yesterday. I think it was almost growing up a sense of, and I don't use this term now, but like almost like protecting younger Sid, like internal Sid. And so it was assessing the surroundings to make sure it was comfortable and safe before opening up that next level to people. Which I think is why a lot of people have the misconception that like I'm a stoic and I'm like super reserved and I have no personality. But it's like, no, I think it's actually the calculation of the more I open up, the more I invite the world into my life. And I am just very calculated in how much I do that and to
Absolutely.
what degree I allow them that access.
Absolutely. I mean, I think
Fire.
it's outstanding and for individuals just in case if you want to know if you have a SID level profile, do you have that? Let's
If anything that she said resonates with you quietly in your mind.
and so if you want to know if you got a GOAT mindset, her NESTRE Mindset Profile is 44% cerebral, 32% prime, incredible flexibility,
Wonderful.
and 24% alpha. And so, literally, a strategic, calculated cerebral who's moving with intentionality in every way, and that's why you win. I mean, you essentially you rig things to win, and because if you don't,
No, but actually,
I mean, literally, that part is, I think, can't go overlooked, in that people talk about risk taking, and it's not about not taking risk. It's about you're calculating the probability of success and how you move with that. And that's huge, because more likely than not, you're going to find yourself successful because you know the calculations. You've done the
Yeah.
math, if you will. And so that's why she was like, golf, nah, nah. Nah.
I
Yeah.
know my limits. I
Yeah.
know my limits.
Yeah. And so I just think it's awesome. I gotta ask, so if it wasn't track,
Yeah.
right? What would this mindset gravitate you towards? Because I could think of so many different places that
Yeah.
this brain could be used for the good of humanity. Um,
It's a good.
and so give us some ideas. What would, if it wasn't
what would your
track,
brain attract to?
I mean, if I had to pick another sport, it would be soccer. Um, and then if I had to pick a non-sport, it would be some sort of like event planning coordinator, because I love seeing all of the logistics come together, and having all of the aspects of planning. For example, I planned a thing's bridal shower last year, which was so fun. And getting to like see all of the aspects, from the games to the food to the decorations to who's invited to the invitations. Like, I really enjoy having all of the pieces and then getting to see the results. Um, so guys, I'm not saying hire me yet, but like if I ever start a business,
it's happening. It's
yeah,
happening.
yeah, there you
It's happening.
Just-
It's happening.
it's right now.
Sid's logistics is happening.
go. There you go.
Sid's
Exactly.
logistics.
It's literally a science now.
I thought you were saying that was going to be her event planning name.
I probably wouldn't go with logistics,
Yeah.
but that's what's really happening in the background.
Right.
So that
There
also
you go.
sounds like CEO, president, world leader. I showed my baby girl, she's just 9 now, Makai. I showed her one of the films of you juggling while doing that. I think you were doing an interview. And I'm like, this this is not supposed to happen this way.
Yeah.
But guess what? She wouldn't be doing this on this interview if she didn't know she gonna go crush
Right.
this. And
True.
so yeah. So I just, again, I think this is awesome.
Mhm.
You know, give us what is this like for you, having somebody kind of look inside the hood, the mind of Sid, and the insights that we're sharing. How does it resonate with you and in this experience? So we'd love to hear that too.
It's great, honestly. I think it just gives context and actual verbiage to the things I experience on a daily basis. And it makes more sense as to why I am the way that I am.
The GOAT.
No, a super calculated, deep thinker. But I also think it's important to know that, because just like anything, there can be downsides to some of our natural tendencies. Sometimes I have a tendency to overthink and almost become too meticulous with the details, to where I almost become like paranoid. So it's important to kind of know how my brain functions and be aware of that, so that there are certain areas where it's like, okay, baby, you do need to work on maybe scaling this back a little bit and being more flexible here. Because, yeah, just like anything in our lives, it can almost become too much and overpowering.
Mhm.
I think that's great insight. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I knew this was going to be a great
We were excited about this.
I just knew this was going to be outstanding.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
at some point, we got to have you back on when you've mastered these other templates that you're mastering, you know,
There you go.
and have you back on. But like,
Yeah.
I just think people are just going to be able to appreciate, and you've already done some phenomenal things, and you're still just getting started, which is crazy to even think about.
Just doing life.
Thank you for hanging out with us.
Yes.
You know,
Thank you.
And I'm gonna turn it over to Chloe because my day's done. Like I'm good.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
I'm
No,
Wow, this is
seriously.
awesome.
Yeah, we're really thankful, and like having you on to share your just like you. Like I was really happy because I was so excited to share just the stories that not many people get to hear, and you only get to experience when like they experience you. And that was just really fun, and having Tommy kind of break down, the science of Nestre. And for everyone who's listening and watching who resonates with this, like we do this because we want to help people. We want to encourage people, give them hope, and understand more about who they are. And that is accessible in the Nestre app. And so, in the same way that we all get our insights and mindset profile assessments through the Nestre app, you can too. There will be something in this podcast for you to be able to click that and take the assessment for yourself. And we love hearing feedback from you guys about what your profile was like. But if, this resonates with you, we'd love to go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, your finger was doing this thing.
My finger's doing the thing.
But so yeah, if just go in, brother.
Go for it.
Anyways, so if it resonates with you, definitely download the app and take the assessment for yourself.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, at some point we have to do an Uno showdown because my family's a Uno family.
You don't want to play with her. I am
looking.
Actually played a game. I forgot where we were at. I think we were in Tennessee, and we were playing.
We were in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to.
She doesn't play about her wins. I'll say that. She wants. She gonna fight for them wins.
that the fact that it's like that, I'm looking forward to a friendly competition.
Friendly.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, she's like, well,
she don't play.
Let's just say competition then. I opened up the framework to.
She's very respectful, but
well, you put friendly in there, and I cannot not say that I won't be.
Yeah.
Yes, I will be polite for sure.
But she will absolutely ruin you with a smile on her face. Respectfully. Yeah.
I mean, you're over here now, so you're supposed to be like.
I'm just saying. I don't remember. Did I win one?
I don't remember there was a lot going on.
There was so much.
I have no idea.
But family, our kids love the game, and so
yes,
it's a thinking game.
Yes,
it's a thinking game.
True.
And so, hey, this has been outstanding.
Yeah, thank you
so much for hanging out with us, and like I said, you're the GOAT.
Wow. Thank you guys. This was super special. Thank you so much for having me on. And like you said, I will be happy to have that Uno game at some point for sure.
Deal. Done.
He's gonna he'll follow up. Oh gosh. All right, guys.